So I want to talk about some exciting news, but also a little dose of reality. So first, let's get to the news. And this was announced by Sakurai himself over on Twitter. For those who, for some reason, are watching my channel and don't know who Sakurai is, Masahiro Sakurai is the lead producer and developer and director of the Super Smash Bros. Series. He's also done a lot of other things in the past, Kirby and Kid Icarus Uprising and a bunch of stuff for HAL Laboratories before he left Nintendo to start his own company. That's right, technically, Masahiro Sakurai is not a Nintendo employee. He works as a contract employee through his company, Sora Ltd. Anyways, that's besides the point. What's happening is he announced on Twitter that the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC lineup, so the 5 additional characters we're getting beyond Piranha Plant, is now complete. And he did note that this time, unlike pretty much every other time, the selection was made entirely by Nintendo. And then it's up to Sakurai if they can create a fighter based on their selection, then come up with a plan. So essentially what he's saying is Nintendo would say, we want this person to be a fighter in Smash Bros. Sakurai would decide if it was possible to turn that person into a fighter. If not, obviously Nintendo would toss another character at them and another. I think there's been some confusion where people said, oh, Nintendo just gave Sakurai a list, and then Sakurai whittled down that list to just 5 characters. I don't really get that out of this tweet at all. Obviously, people are going to read too much into this anyways, but he said this time the selection was made entirely by Nintendo. What that tells me is Nintendo specifically chose characters, and then Sakurai told them if he could turn one of those characters into a fighter. So, yeah, Sakurai's decision was basically not to say yes or no, but to decide if that character could fit in the Super Smash Bros. Game. So, yeah, Sakurai didn't whittle down any list Nintendo sent him. Nintendo literally chose 5. He went through those 5, decided who could and could not work in Smash, and then if someone couldn't work in Smash for various reasons, Nintendo would hand them another character to replace that one in the 5. So Nintendo made the selections all on their own, and it's obviously something either Sakurai requested of Nintendo to do for the DLC characters because he's handling 75 other characters here that he already knew he was going to be doing, or because Nintendo wanted to. After all, this is Nintendo's game. I know we give Sakurai a ton of credit, all deserved, for this series, but it is a Nintendo-controlled IP. Nintendo wanted to make the call for DLC characters. This does likely mean we're not looking at any specific third-party characters because I don't, Banjo-Kazooies of the world, all that kind of stuff. I think Nintendo might have felt that maybe Smash Bros. Was reaching out too much, when you got Sonic and Pac-Man and all this stuff in. And some of it made sense, obviously with the partnership with Bandai Namco now being like the primary developing studio for Smash Bros. It made sense to have some Bandai Namco characters in there, but I think Nintendo felt that it was becoming too much of an all-inclusive video game party where Nintendo themselves kind of wants us to be a Nintendo party. So what they want to do is inject more Nintendo characters into the roster. So that's just my take. Of course, maybe Nintendo did choose something like Banjo-Kazooie and did okay things with Phil Spencer and made that all work. But for some reason, I highly doubt that is the case. Now, that being said, Masahiro Sakurai also went on to say after announcing this, something else that I think needs to be addressed on the internet on the whole. This doesn't just deal with Smash Bros, by the way. This obviously is a pointed comment about Smash Bros fans, but this deals with just fan bases on the whole. And we got to remember, Sakurai actually tweeted all this out in English, which he does not do very often. It's a Japanese Twitter account. He's always tweeting in Japanese, but he specifically put this in English, I think, because the largest contingent of issues in this is coming from English speakers. And he said, "It is great to dream about your favorite character joining the battle, and I appreciate your passion. But please try to stay on topic when replying to tweets and refrain from flooding us and other users with requests that we're not specifically asking for. Feedback. Thank you." So this would be in response to the outcry for Waluigi. This would be a response into any demanding of characters to be in Smash, like Shadow the Hedgehog. This would be pretty much anyone demanding specific characters, specific modes, specific anything of Sakurai. of Bandai Namco, of individual people working on this game, when no one from that company was asking for people to submit their characters' ideas or dreams, wants, or wishes. What he's saying is, it's fine if you want to talk about this stuff, right? If you want to make your YouTube videos, if you want to go in some forums and chit-chat away about your dream lineups and all that. He's saying, like, that's always good. I mean, he literally used the word, it's great to do this. It's great to dream about your favorite characters and be passionate about it and talk about it. But what he said isn't really fair is when you take your dreams, your wants, and your passions, you go to the developers working on the game, and you basically tell them, demand of them to do what you want them to do when they weren't asking for your feedback. And this is where we get into the realm of trying to remember, and this isn't just a Smash Bros. Thing, but this is just one of the rare situations where someone has spoken out and said, hey, stop doing this. Video games are not necessarily created to be what fans want them to be. There are games that try to do that. There are games that try to cater to a fan base. And oftentimes when, this isn't true 100% of the time, but oftentimes when a game tries to cater to what it thinks an audience wants, they end up making something that just feels subpar, because instead of letting the creative juices of the director and the producer and the staff working on the game flow and ultimately make the game they want to make, they end up trying to guess and make the game they think everyone who wants to play. And this has happened in a lot of, even like series that were popular for certain reasons. You would start seeing tacked on multiplayer and all these additional modes and gameplay and different characters and different directions for games that the developer and the producer and you know the controlling company thought people wanted, instead of focusing on making what the game makers want to make. That used to be how video games were done. It was, what do game makers want to make? They make the game they want to make, and then us as consumers decide if we actually want to play their creations. It became kind of like a form of art, and this is why video games are often referred to as art. It's not just about the visual presentation, it's about the whole of the creation of the game. There's a lot of people that look at Breath of the Wild as just an artistic masterpiece, regardless if you don't agree that it's a great video game. It's very clear when they made that game, they weren't trying to cater to what they thought fans would like. Instead, they made the game they wanted to make. And I think this is true of Red Dead Redemption 2. When you see a lot of complaints about Red Dead Redemption 2 on it's too meticulous, why do we have to watch a skinning animation? It's almost too realistic and boring at times, and blah, blah, blah. It forgets to be a video game. What we have to remember is the people that made that game, the 600, 700, 800 staff, whatever, they made the game they want to make. It doesn't mean you can't criticize it and let them know ways you think the game itself could be better, but what it does mean is you shouldn't be tweeting to those people making demands of games when they're in development. It just doesn't make any sense to do it. It's fine to be on this platform like YouTube and talking to fellow gamers and stuff like that about your wants, your desires, your criticisms, but like going to an individual developer, going to any individual working on a game, even tweeting at the company working on the game, can be a little making it too personal for them. I think obviously if you send your request to the Nintendo general Twitter, because he does note, he says, but please stay on topic when replying to tweets and refrain from flooding us and other users with requests. He doesn't specifically note Nintendo, but he is saying like the people working on the games. So, don't flood the Zelda Twitter. Like say they put up a new trailer for a new Zelda game, and you're all excited, and then you hop in reply to that trailer, and you be like, man, I really demand that they put in 9 massive dungeons like in Twilight Princess. And then you just see thousands and thousands and thousands of comments like that, when that tweet about that trailer wasn't actually asking for any feedback, wasn't asking users to come in and tell them what to do in the game. There are times When companies like Nintendo do reach out and do say, hey, we're very curious to see what reactions are like, what people are thinking about, or how they are reacting to this stuff and what they would like to see. There are times when they do ask for that kind of feedback. But oftentimes, developers, when they're putting this stuff out there, they're not doing it looking for users to come in and yell at them about the things they want, the things that make the game perfect for them. Because the developers aren't focused on any individual out there. I want Banjo-Kazooie and Conker in Smash Bros. Way more than I want basically the entire roster that's in Smash Bros. To be there. Way more than Mario, way more than Link, way more than all the characters. I want Banjo-Kazooie and Conker to be in Smash Bros. But I have not once even had a fleeting thought in my mind that I should tweet at Masahiro Sakurai, at Bandai Namco, at Nintendo, or anyone at the company to demand that they put that character in the game. Or even if you're being kind about it, hey, it would be really cool if you put that character in the game. It's still being inconsiderate of the fact that there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people that are just smashing them with this stuff every day. It doesn't make anything better. It doesn't get what you want in the game. The only time that we really had a say over the roster was when they did a voting thing. Back on the Wii U and 3DS, they released a public poll where you could not only, vote on specific characters they were already considering, you could write in characters as well if you wanted. That's a time when they were asking specifically for user feedback on what you want, and they gave you a method to express that feedback on what you want. So going away from that method and just tweeting at these people, God, it has to be so frustrating. It has to be, because I'm on a much smaller scale with a much smaller fan base, and when people are tweeting at me irrelevant nonsense about my videos and about whatever my tweet's about, it's annoying, and I get it on a very, very tiny scale. These developers are getting it on the scale of like the whole of Nintendo fan base, the whole of the, Red Dead fan base or whatever, like it is just descending upon them. And I'm not, again, this isn't saying we can't criticize things, but it is saying that we need to be more conscious that these are people trying to make a game they want to make. Be critical, have your dreams and your hopes. Be demanding, but do it in the right way. Contacting individual developers on Twitter is not the right way to really go about this. You could target the overall company of Nintendo with your request if you want, I think, but going after individuals, you're just making their day hell, and if anything, it makes them not want to continue working on projects of passion. And I think for any of the criticism I've had about like the Piranha Plant DLC or any criticisms I've ever lobbied at Smash Bros. Over the years, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind, nor any of yours, that Smash Bros. Has always been a labor of love. Whether it was from the N64, to the GameCube, to the Wii, to the Wii U and 3DS, or right now on Switch, it's always been a labor of love, and I don't think we could ever accuse Sakurai or anyone who's worked on Smash Bros. Not putting their all into those games. And I mean, now we're sitting here with the ultimate version of Smash Bros. That has more content in it than I think we see in most video games, period, let alone fighting games. I don't think there's any fighting game that comes close to the content that's in this game, because it's building off of its entire history of being this is like saying, there's a Zelda game coming out that's going to build off the entire history of Zelda games and essentially give you every area that's ever been in a game, every version of Death Mountain, every version of like Hylia, all of this in one massive, map that's ended up being bigger than the actual real world maps are. And that would just be insane to us to even imagine a reality where that exists. But that's what's happening with Super Smash Bros. For the most part. They don't have quite everything, right? They don't have all of the modes that have ever been in prior games. They don't have all of the stages or all of the music, but they have a lot of it. And it's very impressive what they have brought together for this game. So from Smash Bros. To Red Dead to Zelda to Mario to I don't know, your Call of Duties of the world or whatever, I think we need to back off of the individuals working on the game and focus more on just getting our word out there through other means that they're still paying attention to. If you didn't know, developers are reading places like ResetEra.com. They are watching popular YouTube videos. They are paying attention to what's happening out there. They don't ignore reactions to their content. They just don't want to see their own public, Twitters and stuff flooded with this stuff, because there might be like a point where we ask for genuine feedback about one thing, or we're looking for reactions to this one thing, and instead my inbox is flooded with, hey, it'd be cool if you put Banjo in. It'd be cool if you put, I don't know, the gecko from Geico in. So, yeah, I think we just need to take a step off that gas pedal. And remember, these people are humans. And remember that we, as gamers, don't have to get any of this. For all the entitled talk out there, from the Diablo fans to me apparently acting entitled over Smash Bros. Or whatever, reality is these games are being made to be what the developers and the creators want them to be. We shouldn't want them making the games to try to please us. We should want them to please themselves. And once they have pleased themselves, we'll probably be very happy with what the end product is. Just to give you an example, with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, who of us was asking for them to combine the entire roster of Smash Bros. At this point, we had conceded that we're going to lose some characters every generation but get new characters, and we would just hope our mains didn't get eliminated. Instead, they did what nobody asked them to do, and that's amazing. And I think we need to encourage more games to be like this, to create the kind of game they want to make. Because that's when you're really going to get the most passion out of the developers, and that's when you're going to get the best games. One thing seems to always be true of the games that are always up for competition for Game of the Year, and that is that they didn't create the game that they thought people wanted to play. They created the game they wanted to play. And when you do that, that's when you get the best of the best out of the video game industry. Anyways, folks, I'm Nathaniel Rufflejans from Nintendo Prime. If you like this video, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Hey, if you stuck around this long, why don't you enter our Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Switch giveaway? There is a Gleam.io link down in the description to enter that. You just have to be subscribed. And, the more of you that like the video, I know I already talked about likes, but the more of you that like the video, the more of our subscribers that see the video. It's some new algorithm thing over the past couple months with YouTube that likes equal how we're sending out things to subscribers, including people that hit the bell icon. I think that's ridiculous, but hey, we're on YouTube, we're playing their game, and I hope you enjoy the video. I'll catch you in the next one.